Hello. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about 15 common Yoruba idiomatic expressions. Idiomatic expressions are basically phrases that the actual meaning is different from the literal translation of the phrase itself. Hopefully, it makes sense, but let's get into it. Ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀. Owó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi. Now, the literal translation of this one is that I have a lot of money in my hands, but really what the meaning is I am broke or I am short of money. Owó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi. Owó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi. I am broke or I'm short of money. Ó rẹ̀ mí díẹ̀. The literal translation for this one is I am a little bit tired. But actually, when people say this phrase, they mean I'm feeling unwell. I'm feeling a little bit unwell. Something like that. Ó rẹ̀ mí díẹ̀. Ó rẹ̀ mí díẹ̀. I'm feeling unwell. Ó sápá mi lórí. Actually, this one, we sometimes use it to mean let's say you're choking on a piece of food or a bit of liquid. Sometimes this phrase is used for that. But really, when people are saying this phrase, they're basically saying that they are, unable to recall something. Let's say you're trying to remember something, but it's not coming to your mind, and you say, "Osakpamilori," as in it's choked in my head or something like that. Actually, the literal translation does not make a lot of sense, but hopefully you get what I mean by that. Osakpamilori. Osakpamilori. I'm unable to recall. Mo fẹ́ lọ gbọ̀nsẹ̀. Gbọ̀nsẹ̀ is almost like to shake leg. You're saying, I want to go and shake my leg, but what you mean is, I want to go and use the toilet. That is the meaning of this particular idiomatic expression. Mo fẹ́ lọ gbọ̀nsẹ̀. Mo fẹ́ lọ gbọ̀nsẹ̀. I want to go and use the toilet. Orí ń fọ́ ta mi. Now, ọ̀tá is enemy. So sometimes people say this, they'll say orí ń fọ́ ta mi, as in my enemy has a headache. They don't want to say they're the ones that have a headache, because we believe in the power of the tongue, in the power of the mouth, and professing something negative on yourself is not encouraged. So people will say this instead to say, I have a headache. Orí ń fọ́ ta mi. Orí ń fọ́ ta mi. I have a headache. Ó gbé aáyán mì. Aáyán actually means cockroach. So the literal translation here is saying that the person swallowed a cockroach. But literally what they're trying to say is the person got pregnant. So she got pregnant. Ó gbé aáyán mì. Ó gbé aáyán mì. She got pregnant. Ó kọjú mi sí òrùn alẹ́. This means the literal translation is like you put my face towards the evening sun. Doesn't make sense, but literally the meaning here is that you disappointed me. You would use this phrase if you were expecting something from somebody. You were expectant, whatever it was, and then they disappointed you or they let you down. This would be the appropriate idiomatic phrase to use in that scenario. Ó kọjú mi sí òrùn alẹ́. Ó kọjú mi sí òrùn alẹ́. You disappointed me. Ó kọtí ikún sí mi. This one means he or she turned a deaf ear to me. So you might have somebody that you're repeatedly telling something and they're not listening. They're being a bit stubborn about it. You could use this phrase to say, this person turned a deaf ear to me. They're not paying attention. They're not listening. That kind of thing. Ó kọtí ikún sí mi. Ó kọtí ikún sí mi. He or she turned a deaf ear to me. Ó fa àáké kọ́rí. Àáké means axe. I'm not even bother doing the literal translation for this one because it makes no sense. But the meaning of this is that he or she was stubbornly insistent. Like the person has been insistent, they've been stubborn, they don't want to move, they don't want to budge, whatever it is. They've been insistent in a stubborn way. That's how you'd use this phrase. Ó Ofaake Kori. Ofaake Kori, he or she was stubbornly insistent. Wa jenyo an issue. Inyo is pounded yam, and issue is yam. So obviously when you're eating yam, you have to chew a bit more than when you're eating pounded yam, which has already been pounded and it's a softer texture. Essentially when they're saying wa jenyo an issue is like, okay, if you're eating your pounded yam as a yam, then it's a bit harder to chew, harder to swallow. So basically that's kind of where this expression came from. But it's essentially, it's like saying you're going to be punished or you're going to suffer. That kind of insinuation. Wa je inyo nishu. Wa je inyo nishu, you'll be punished or you'll suffer. Ejo lowo ninu. Ejo means snake, and in the biblical stories, we are told that the snake can be a deceptive animal. So that's kind of a little bit where this comes from. But essentially, it means that there's someone behind this. You're suspecting that there's someone behind the matter. Ejo lowo ninu. Ejo lowo ninu. There's someone behind this. Or you can say in full and say Ejo lowo ninu oro yi. There's someone behind this particular matter, this particular issue. Ti ri nkankan. The literal translation of this is you haven't seen anything yet, which actually we can say in English as well. But what you're trying to say here is that there is more to come. You haven't seen anything yet. That kind of vibe. Ti ri nkankan. Ti ri nkankan. There is more to come. You haven't seen anything yet. Magbe onje ale fologbo je. Ologbo is a cat. And essentially what this phrase is about is saying that, don't give your future treasure to somebody else. So don't give, onje ale is like your dinner, essentially. So they're saying, don't give your dinner, what you're going to have later in the day, to the cat because you might need it. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Ma gbe onje ale fologbo je. Ma gbe onje ale fologbo je. Don't give your future treasure to somebody else. Ó fi ẹ̀jẹ̀ dúdú sínú, ó tú funfun jáde. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ is blood, dúdú is black, funfun is white. So essentially what this phrase is saying is that he or she or the person was being deceitful. That's what this means. Ó fi ẹ̀jẹ̀ dúdú sínú, ó tú funfun jáde. Ó fi ẹ̀jẹ̀ dúdú sínú, ó tú funfun jáde. He or she was being deceitful. Ó fi ọwọ́ mẹ́wàá jẹun. Literal translation of this is that the person used 10 hands, or kind of 10 fingers really, to eat. But that doesn't make any sense, obviously. But the meaning is that he or she spends carelessly, sort of without saving. That's the meaning of this expression. Ó fi ọwọ́ mẹ́wàá jẹun. Ó fi ọwọ́ mẹ́wàá jẹun. He or she spends carelessly or without saving. Now, there are lots of other expressions as well. If I were to cover them all, this would be a very long video. The video is already a little bit longer than usual, but hopefully you got something out of it. These are useful ones to practice, and when you hear it, at least then you can make a bit of sense what these idiomatic expressions mean. When you use them, you do sound more like a native, basically. So feel free to use them in the appropriate situation and scenarios. Well, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Share with anyone that you think might be interested. If you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to subscribe. It's just a way for you to support the channel and support what I'm doing. Thank you very much, and we'll see each other next week. Bye.